Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Baldwin. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button and share this video. To those of you who don't know my story, please watch the video in the description below, which will set the context for this video. But before I begin, the family court gave full custody of my sons to their father due to them disclosing that he had sexually abused and drugged them. They blamed me for drugging them and have banned me from any contact whatsoever with my sons. In October 2014, after finally selling the marital home 3 years after we had separated, my ex-husband was adamant that I get rid of the computer. It wasn't old and it was working fine. He told me to take it to the tip and that he would give me a laptop that used to belong to his employee. I recall thinking that it was odd, but nevertheless I did as I was told. I remembered a couple of years previously seeing something on the computer that said teen gangbangs. At the time, I told my ex-husband and he quickly replied that there was obviously a virus on the computer. Being gullible and not knowing much about computers, or more importantly my ex-husband for that matter, I didn't think any more on the subject. At the end of October 2014, me and my sons, then aged 7 and 3, moved to Littleborough near Rochdale. Prior to that, I lived in Manchester for many years. After my ex-husband was arrested in December 2014, when my sons started to disclose that their father, the paternal grandparents and others were sexually abusing them, I realised that I could view his Gmail account email and that he must have logged onto his ex-employee's laptop at some point and forgotten to log out. I saw some emails that disturbed me between my ex-husband and his family. One email was from June 2013. My ex was telling his parents and sister that we were all going together on holiday, me, him and the boys, and that it had been my suggestion. That was true, as I was trying to help the boys get used to their father, as they would always get extremely distressed whenever he collected them, which was a couple of times or several times a week. He said in the email that I may be returning with just the boys should we go on any clifftop walks. This chilled me, as we were getting along fine at that time. In another email, his mother, who had always been extremely friendly with me and continued to be after I'd separated from my husband, she gave me gifts, as I would her, we'd hug each other, never had a crossword. She called me an effing bitch in the email. It chilled me to the bone. She didn't even swear in person. There was no reason for her to be angry with me about anything either, as I was always laid back, placid and accommodating. This woman presents one way publicly and is a monster behind closed doors. Amongst other emails that didn't make any sense to me, there was also an email from a very close abuser friend of my ex-husband's asking what he was up to. My ex-husband replied, "Doing kitty." Does anyone know what this could mean? Is it the code word for something? If anyone knows, just please comment below. A friend also informed me that I would be able to see his internet searches through the account that he had logged in on. The search history went back for 18 months, starting from mid-2013. From the search history, it was very clear to see that he had a fascination with news stories about paedophiles and babies and children being raped and murdered. He wouldn't Google many other stories apart from the occasional football or boxing story. What stood out is that he would be Googling paedophile news stories excessively and then go straight onto a porn site such as UJizz, UK Perv, Swinging Heaven and Revenge on My Ex. It was clear to see that he was aroused by reading these horrific stories about children being raped and tortured. And one particular news story was about Ian Watkins from the band Lost Prophets. A news report stated that the rock singer Ian Watkins has received a 35-year sentence after admitting a string of sex offences involving children, including the attempted rape of a baby and drugging small children. The South Wales police investigation into Watkins, codenamed Operation Globe, required the cooperation of GCHQ, to decrypt a hidden drive on his laptop which was found to contain video evidences of his abuses. Most people, after reading such a horrific story, would feel physically sick and shaken up. My ex-husband, on the other hand, immediately Googled a porn site after being clearly aroused by what he was reading. I remembered a time in 2013 when my ex-husband had just dropped my sons off. We were stood in the kitchen and he started talking about Ian Watkins' horrific crimes against babies and children. It was all in the news back then. He was really excited and seemed high talking about it. I couldn't understand this at the time, but obviously, well, I think it's obvious now. His searches showed that he would regularly Google Manchester teen escorts, bearing in mind that he lived in Rochdale at the time, which is only 10 miles to Manchester. He would also Google teen escort duos and teen gangbangs. A few weeks after his arrest, about my son's disclosures, he went on a ski holiday with some friends, including 2 gay men from Chiltern who had also been arrested after my son disclosed about them to the police. On that holiday, at the beginning of 2015, my ex-husband met a woman who he dated for a few years. She had a young teenage daughter at that time and a teenage son. He also Googled disturbing things, including children being killed by parents, rent boys and the word smother. So I produced all of this evidence in the family court alongside the police evidence of date rape drugs that were in my son's hair, medical evidence, their disclosures, witness testimonies and references from the school, but Judge Lee ignored them. He didn't think there was anything wrong with a 40-odd-year-old man using young teenage escorts. For more information about the misdemeanours of Judge Lee, please see my video in the description below. He would also Google postcodes a lot, sometimes entering the same postcode again and again. One address was a house in Haywood, who the police later confirmed was a known address to them, although they didn't state what it was known for. My ex-husband would sometimes Google this address 3 times a day. In court, he stated that this was the address of his ironing lady. One of the addresses he would enter into Google mostly on a Saturday afternoon, on days that he had my sons, was the address which he claimed to be no longer using at that time and where he stated the owner of the office block allowed him to keep his stock there. This is a previous office address which he rented for a number of years. Significantly, this is a place that my sons described being abused by many men on Saturday afternoons. One Saturday night around midnight, he entered the postcode of Dye House Lane, Rochdale. It is a dark, unlit lane with a recording studio, a large mill that was burnt down a few months earlier, and a tip. Does anyone watching this video know why he would constantly be entering the postcodes of places that he knew exactly how to get to, like that he'd been to for years? I don't understand. Could he have possibly been sending the postcodes to other people to let them know where to meet, for example? Please get in touch or comment below if you think you know why he was doing this. And finally, just to say that my ex-husband also had another laptop that he withheld from the police. The police literally did nothing but ask him to hand over his devices. They didn't even conduct a house search. I believe that if they'd have done this and they'd have gone into the loft, like my son described, they would have found the drugs and the equipment that they were drugged with, as well as other devices. Thank you for watching.